Today is the 11th of December, and for the past 3 or 4 days we've had night temperature of -5, maybe -6, and everything is looking frozen. I sometimes wonder whether I like the cold weather or the hot weather. This year in the summer we had temperatures going up to 32, 33 degrees, and in some parts of England they had 34 degrees, and that was hot. So we were cursing the heat, but now that we have the cold, I'm not sure whether I like the cold. But whatever it is, it looks pretty, but it means a lot of hard work. We've got to put all our trees away under the shade netting and in the tunnels. Only the very hard ones remain outside. So the larches, hawthorns, beech trees, some of the white pines which have been acclimatized in this country, I don't mind leaving them here. But generally, a lot of the trees are protected and put away. So let me just walk around and show you some of the trees. This is that very famous great big needle juniper that came into the country in 1962. This is a white pine that we're in the middle of styling. This is a Bouvanensis that was made only like 30 years ago as a very large bonsai or garden tree. And so it goes on. Let me just walk you around to just give you a glimpse of the trees covered in frost. This is not snow, this is just frost. The birds are having a great time taking all the crabapple fruit and the hawthorn fruit. That's all they have to eat. These sort of images are almost like what you would find on a Christmas card. Chinese elms we do keep outdoors because we know that they're very hardy. Chinese juniper also we keep outdoors. The frost on the twigs is sometimes referred to as hoarfrost. H-O-A-R-E, I think it is spelt. I don't know why they call it hoarfrost, but it is frost on the twigs. And it is really, really pretty. Also, the spider's webs, they attract the frost. So this is the spider's webs. They look like string, but they're spider's webs. And of course, look at the water basins. The water is frozen and it's popping out of the water basin. I've known the water to sometimes freeze and crack these granite pots, so one has to be very, very careful. Well, my pride and joy, of course, are these trees that have good ramification. Look at that for ramification. That is the Japanese greybark elm. I've had that tree for nearly 30 years. Beautiful tree. And this is one of our maples. The planes continue to fly, and I'm pleased to tell you that I'm going to go to India for 3 weeks. I'll tell you in another video the reason why I'm going there, but I'm really looking forward to it. Many people think that trees which are meant for outdoors don't survive the cold weather. But don't forget, trees and like fish, they're cold-blooded creatures, if you can call them creatures. And because they're cold-blooded, they will not perish in the cold. Trees which are tropical trees would perish because their cells just break and they will burst and don't survive. We're taking a risk keeping some of our ficus in the front greenhouse. That greenhouse does go down to freezing. I've got to tell my staff to put them away. Look at all these beautiful cobwebs. So if you look around, there's so much beauty to be seen and to be had. And these are our shade tunnels. The shade tunnels protect the trees from the overhead frost. It does freeze in here, but it just keeps the temperature about 1 or 2 degrees warmer than it is outside in the ambient air. So we keep our junipers here and our Japanese white pines and some of our more precious maple specimens. I came across an expression the other day, and I think in America they call the brown effect on junipers and yews the bronzing effect. I call it the frost blush, because in the winter, when the frost catches the leaves or the foliage of the evergreen plants, like this Japanese yew, they turn it into a bronzy color. It is the reverse of suntan. Just as the human beings get suntan, evergreen conifers do turn brown in the winter when the frost affects them. So let's look at some of these junipers. You see these junipers, these are itoigawas, and they're turning that slightly bronzy color, frost blush. Don't worry about it, the tree is not dying. See, that's another Japanese yew, Taxus cuspidata, and that is also affected by the frost. So these are the structures we protect our trees in. This is a double twin span polytunnel, and then this is our large polycarbonate greenhouse. And the temperature is definitely much warmer in here than outdoors. So this is where a lot of the trees stay here during the winter. And of course, because they're undercover, they do need to be watered. You can't leave them alone. If you leave them alone, they will not survive, they will die. So if you keep trees in the winter under cover, I always advise people, when you have a hard frost, that means a hard frost in winter and the temperature goes to -2, -3, -4 and 5. In the UK, we advise people to put them under cover. That means put them in a garage or a shed, and when the frost is over, take them out again, and that should be sufficient to protect the trees. So let's wander outside, because the pond, I'm sure, will be frozen solid. Here we are, Winter Wonderland. Look at it. Absolutely frozen. It's deadly quiet, absolutely quiet. So deciduous trees have their beauty because when they're in leaf, in spring it's one color, summer it's another color, autumn another color, and winter, although the twigs are bare, when they're covered in frost like this, there couldn't be a more stunning sight. Look at that view. Well, it's 10 o'clock at night on the 11th of December, and what have we got here but snow? The snow is falling thick and fast, so look at that beautiful sight. I will take some pictures tomorrow morning, but meanwhile, this is what the nursery looks like in snow tonight. We don't often get snow so early in the year, but this has been a strange year. Look at my Zarkova covered in snow. Absolutely beautiful. Freezing cold though. So this is a night view of the nursery in the snow. There you go. So today is the 12th of December, a Monday, and last evening at 4 o'clock the snow started falling, and within 2 hours we had about 6 inches of snow. All the people who were driving on the roads were stranded, they couldn't get home. One of my employees only lives 5 or 15 kilometers away, 5 miles away, and he got stuck only 3 miles down the road, so he had to turn back and he had to beg, the night's sleep with one of my other colleagues. So it was a very, very difficult day. But look at it, we always say, this is Christmas card scenery. I've never seen the nursery like this in a long, long time. I think the last time we had snow like this was in 2010 when we were building the new center. But snow of this quantity is seldom experienced. Look at these great big trees in the distance, those oak trees completely covered in snow. The planes, of course, started flying again, but the Gatwick airport was shut for about 6 hours yesterday. But I hope the weather improves, because next Monday, in 6 days' time, I'm going to be flying out to India. So I hope nothing happens in the meantime to spoil my trip to India. So let me just walk you through the nursery and show you the beautiful sights. So these trees are covered in a blanket of snow. Many people have asked me on my Instagram account, won't these trees suffer? I hope they won't suffer, because the ones that we've left outside are supposed to be the hardy trees. This is a ginkgo in front of me, and this is a hardy one, so ginkgo is hardy. And this is larch, this is hawthorn, this is beech. I have some white pines outside, but because they've been in this country for well over 10 years, they are pretty well acclimatized to this weather, so I hope they won't suffer. So as I say, the trees that are left outside are the ones that I know will survive. So let me just take a long, slow walk and show you the beauty that there is. This is a black pine underneath there. This is my twin trunk maple, or that chicken plucker maple. This is a Chinese juniper. with a blanket of snow. This is a Korean hornbeam. Some of the autumn leaves are still visible. This is the cedar forest that I made about a year ago. Japanese maples are pretty hardy. I don't always put them away. In fact, I don't put many of them away, especially if the trees are big. I'm not concerned about that. Look at that Japanese maple. Who says it's not pretty in winter? Winter is such a beautiful time. Bonsai is about enjoyment and about beauty. So to say that a tree is not beautiful in winter is just not fair. Look at that beauty. I can just stand here, if I wasn't freezing, all day and admire that beauty. Look at that oak tree in the distance there. That silhouette is absolutely sublime. Look at it. Look at that. You can hear the snow crunching under my feet. We've sent all our staff home at 1 o'clock. After they've packed the parcels, we sent them home. And I hope they can get home. This is the shade tunnel. This is one of the shade structures. And the weight of the snow sometimes causes the tunnels to collapse. So you've got to shake the snow off before it gets too heavy. So just this little bit of overhead protection is sufficient to protect these so-called hardy trees. You see, underneath the shade tunnel there is no snow, and it feels decidedly warmer under the shade tunnel. So the shade tunnel has its benefits. Look at that silhouette against the brown wall. There's an eerie silence because the snow acts as a sound absorber, almost like an anechoic chamber, so you don't hear anything. Look at these images. Look at these images. Absolutely divine. And look at that view. Look at that view. Bonsai on parade. I'm glad I'm not a tree, but of course trees are cold-blooded, I always tell people. So I hope they won't suffer. The tropical trees do suffer, so they've been taken away and put in our conservatory. I will show you those in a minute. No one has walked on that snow except some, I think, rabbits or cats walking around here. Yeah, there's some footprints. I think that could be a fox's footprint. Could be a fox. I don't think it's a cat. The footprints are too large. So it's a different vista, different perspective when you look at trees covered in snow. And this is the shade tunnel, newly covered shade tunnel. And I think the boys have shaken some of the snow off. But this is where we protect our trees. So our Japanese white pines are kept in here. They can stand frost. In fact, they are frozen. The pot's absolutely frozen. But just that little bit of overhead cover from the shade netting does give them a fair bit of protection. I'm going to show you our juniper area. This is where our junipers are kept. It's a Trident maple. These are the Stewartias and the Magnolia stellatas. And that's our other tunnel. So we have 2 tunnel structures. And this is sufficient to protect the bulk of our plants. I noticed that there are lots of birds in this tunnel because they are here not only taking shelter from the cold, but they're also stealing the berries, the cotoneaster berries and other berries. So they're having a whale of a time. And in the midst of winter, this is the Viburnum tinus. This is about to bloom. I won't take you inside the greenhouse because you've seen that many times, but they're not covered in snow, so that's not an issue. The birds are going crazy. So lots of footprints again. I think they are foxes. More footprints. Yeah, they're quite wide, so I think it's a fox, not a cat. This is a stock of our semi-trained trees, mainly Chinese junipers. The silence is absolutely uncanny, absolutely uncanny. That's where our van was parked overnight, so that black patch. We managed to drive it out before the snow got worse. Now let me go to the pond area to see what's happening there. Look at these exquisite images. Hard to imagine that in a week's time I'm going to fly out to warmer climes. That's going to be a subject for many, many videos. That's our pond. It was frozen over solid, but I think the temperature's risen slightly, so the ice is melting a little bit. Look at that panoramic view. Absolutely stunning, absolutely stunning. I will now pause the video because I want to take some stills in between. So bear with me. Let me resume my video again. I stopped a moment ago to take some stills. This is a massive magnolia tree. And the snow is still there, sitting about 2 inches deep on the twigs. What a sight. For people who live in regions of the world that don't experience snow, I think they miss something. Although it's inconvenient and uncomfortable at times, snow is without doubt something really beautiful. The whiteness of snow, the sense of purity that you get with snow, absolutely sublime. And the stillness, because the sound is absorbed in the snow, the grey skies promising more snow to come. The rest of the week is going to be cold, but hopefully by Saturday it's going to get up to 8 degrees centigrade and I fly out on Sunday. So here are the footprints of animals. I think that looks like a deer footprints, or foxes. Good old planes flying again. I've been out for about 7 or 10 minutes, beginning to freeze. When I can take it no more, I'll venture back. Oh, these footprints fascinate me. I think it is deer. Some of my YouTube viewers will probably tell me what they are. Look at the panorama. Oh, the planes seem to be taking off 1 a minute, making up for lost time. This is a rather unusual view of my mighty oak tree. The leaves are still on the tree because not all the leaves have shed and they were caught unawares. They were just about to shed. A lot of my maples have still got their yellow leaves on. They haven't all fallen. It's unusual to get snow that early. We usually get snow very bad at the end of January. So there's another 6 weeks of this to come. But in Britain, we always have very variable climate. So this weekend it's going to get to 8 degrees. Then we'll probably have 1 week of mild weather or 2. And then it'll get cold again. Look at that panoramic view here. You think you're in Siberia. So at this time of the year when we are suffering cold, not really suffering, we've got electricity, we've got warmth, we've got food, although some people have less of it. But what about countries like Ukraine which are suffering badly? Several million people are without electricity, no water. I wish that war would come to an end. I don't like to be political, but I'm just being a human being. This is the holly tree, and the holly trees are the favorite for birds in winter because the birds take the holly berries. For those of you who have never seen holly, this is what the holly berries look like, and that's the holly tree. At Christmas, holly and the ivy, that's the ivy plant, are the traditional plants which are used for decorations at Christmas. So this is my orchard. I hope my film editor Bodhi will be able to put this video out soon so that you can enjoy it. Let me have a look at our lake. We have a 10-acre lake behind us, which is owned by the fishing club and the ski club. So that is frozen, you can see. That's the frozen lake. So the planes are certainly making up for lost time. I know we always curse the sound of the planes, but when we hear planes flying again after being shut down due to the bad weather, it is really a welcome sight. These are the apples which are on the ground. We haven't picked them all. We let the birds have it. So this is what we call sustainability. Let the birds enjoy it. So the animal tracks give a very good clue as to who frequents the nursery at night. So this is the life of a nurseryman. We live off the land. My feet are frozen now, so I better venture in. As I said, some of these maples still had their leaves on, so the snow caught them unawares. Those are my Zircova serrata. So as we come to the end of a eventful year, when we had summer temperatures of 34 degrees centigrade and now it is -5. Some year we've had all part of the cycle of life, as we say. I hope it's not the last of the videos I'm making this year, because I'm going to be in India next week, so I have about 10 days of videoing to do. But I will wish you a Merry Christmas. I'm going to appear on the camera tomorrow, perhaps, if I can persuade someone to hold the camera. That little bonsai is, in fact, a customer's tree that didn't survive, but look at it. Beautiful. And then back to my house. These are the trident maples, they're bonsai everywhere. So on that note, I'm going to end this particular video.